The stars above Kepler 442b looked different tonight. Minji pressed her small face against the cold window of the research station, watching lights move across the dark sky. They were not stars. They were ships. Big ships that did not belong there. Her mother had told her to hide in the storage room an hour ago. Dr. Yuna had kissed Minji's forehead and promised to come back soon. That was before the explosion started. Before the screaming began. Before everything changed forever. Minji was 8 years old. She had lived on this colony world for 3 years with her mother and older brother Hanbin. Her father had died back on Earth before she was born. Her mother said he was a hero. Minji did not remember him, but she kept his picture in her pocket always. The door burst open with a loud crash. Minji jumped and tried to make herself smaller behind the storage boxes. Heavy footsteps entered the room. Not human footsteps. These sounded wrong. Too heavy. Too many legs clicking on the metal floor. A voice spoke in a language that hurt her ears. It sounded like metal scraping against stone. Then bright lights filled the room. Minji squeezed her eyes shut, but rough hands grabbed her arms and pulled her out from her hiding spot. She opened her eyes and screamed. The creature holding her looked like a nightmare. It stood on 2 legs like a human, but its skin was covered in dark green scales. Its eyes were yellow with thin black slits in the middle. When it opened its mouth, she saw rows of sharp teeth. The creature looked down at her and made a sound that might have been laughing. More of them came into the room. They dragged out 3 other children who had been hiding. One of them was Hanbin. Her brother was 16 years old and tall for his age. He fought against the creatures holding him, but they were too strong. When he saw Minji, his face went pale. "Let her go," Hanbin shouted in Korean. "She's just a child." One of the creatures hit Hanbin across the face. Blood dripped from his mouth, but he kept struggling. Minji wanted to run to him, but the creature holding her lifted her off the ground like she weighed nothing. They were taken outside the station. Minji had never been outside without a protective suit before. The air felt strange in her lungs, thinner than Earth air. The colony had 73 humans living there. Scientists, engineers, and their families. Now they all stood in lines outside the station with their hands bound. Some were crying. Others looked too scared to make any sound. Above them, a massive ship floated in the sky. It was bigger than anything Minji had ever seen. Bigger than the entire research station. Its dark metal surface blocked out the stars. A bright beam of light shot down from the ship, and suddenly Minji felt her feet leave the ground. She was floating up toward the ship along with the other prisoners. The inside of the alien ship was cold and dark. The walls were made of strange black metal that seemed to swallow light. The creatures pushed and shoved the humans down long corridors. Minji tried to stay close to Hanbin, but they kept getting separated by the crowd. They entered a huge room that looked like an arena. Hundreds of aliens sat in seats around a large open space in the center, but these aliens were different from the reptile creatures who had captured them. Some looked like giant insects with too many arms. Others were covered in fur or had skin that glowed with soft light. There were so many different types that Minji could not count them all. All of them were staring at the humans. A creature stepped forward onto a raised platform. This one was bigger than the others, with darker scales and a long tail that dragged behind it. Scars covered its body like a map of old battles. When it spoke, a device around its neck translated the words into English. "I am Commander Velnor of the Draconus Empire," the creature said. Its voice was deep and cold. "You humans are specimens now. Your planet Earth is primitive, weak. You have no place in the Galactic Coalition. We will study you, test you, and when we are done, we will decide if your species deserves to exist." Minji did not understand all the words, but she understood enough. These aliens thought humans were nothing, less than nothing. Animals to be tested and thrown away. Commander Velnor's yellow eyes swept over the crowd of captured humans. Then they stopped on Minji. The commander pointed one clawed finger at her. "That one," Velnor said. "The small one. Bring it here." 2 guards grabbed Minji and dragged her forward. Hanbin screamed and tried to break free, but more guards held him back. Minji's heart was beating so fast she thought it might explode. Her mother had always told her to be brave, but right now she was more scared than she had ever been in her life. Velnor looked down at Minji like she was an insect. "This is what humans send to colonize worlds? Small, weak, no claws, no natural armor, no venom. You are nothing but soft meat." The aliens in the seats made sounds that might have been agreement. Some of them were definitely laughing. "We have a tradition in the Draconus Empire." Velnor continued. When we encounter a new species, we test their strength against our greatest warrior. Let us see if humans are worth the air they breathe. A large gate on the far side of the arena began to open. The sound of grinding metal echoed through the room. Minji could hear something moving behind the gate. Something big, something that growled like thunder. The aliens in the seats went quiet. Even the guards stepped back slightly. Whatever was behind that gate, even they were afraid of it. Behold the White Death, Velnor announced. An albino Varash wolf from the Andromeda sector. The most dangerous predator we have ever captured. In 200 arena fights, it has never been defeated. It has killed warriors from 17 different species. The gate opened fully. At first, Minji could only see darkness. Then something moved in the shadows. Something massive. It stepped into the light and Minji forgot how to breathe. The creature was huge, as big as an elephant she had seen in pictures from Earth. But it looked like a wolf, if a wolf was built for war. It walked on 6 powerful legs, each one ending in claws as long as kitchen knives. Its fur was completely white, almost glowing under the arena lights. Its eyes were red like blood. When it opened its mouth, Minji saw teeth that looked like they were made of crystal, sharp and deadly. The Vorash wolf looked around the arena. When its red eyes found the humans, it made a sound deep in its chest. Not quite a growl. Not quite a roar. Something in between that made Minji's bones feel cold. Put the human child in the arena, Velnor commanded. No, Hanbin screamed. He fought so hard that it took 4 guards to hold him. Please, she's just a little girl. Take me instead, please. But the aliens did not care about his begging. They opened a small door near the arena floor and threw Minji inside. She landed hard on the ground, scraping her hands and knees. The door slammed shut behind her. Minji stood up slowly. Her whole body was shaking. Across the arena, the White Death watched her with those terrible red eyes. It lowered its head and began to walk toward her. Each step made the ground shake slightly. Above her, Hanbin was still screaming. The aliens were cheering. And Minji was alone in an arena with the most dangerous creature in the galaxy. The White Death moved closer. Each step shook the ground beneath Minji's feet. The creature's red eyes never left her small form. She could hear the aliens cheering above, their voices mixing together into an ugly sound that hurt her ears. Somewhere in that noise, her brother was screaming her name. Minji's legs wanted to run. Her whole body wanted to run. But her mother had taught her something important when they first arrived on Kepler 442b. When they encountered the large animals in the forests near the research station, Dr. Yuna had said running was the worst thing to do. Running made predators chase. Running triggered their hunting instincts, so Minji stood still even though every part of her was screaming to move. She was crying now. Tears ran down her face and her hands were shaking so badly she had to hold them together. But she did not run. The Vorash wolf stopped 10 steps away from her. It tilted its massive head to one side, studying her. This close, Minji could see old scars in its white fur. Burn marks and cuts that had healed but left their traces behind. One of its ears had a piece missing from the top. And there, on its side near the front legs, was a wound that had not healed properly. The skin around it looked red and swollen. It must have hurt terribly. The creature took another step forward. Minji could smell it now. It smelled like blood and something else. Something sad. The wolf lowered its head until its face was level with hers. Its mouth opened slightly, showing those crystal teeth. Hot breath washed over Minji's face. She closed her eyes. If this was going to happen, she did not want to see it. Images flashed through her mind. Her mother's smile. Hanbin teaching her to play games on the research station computer. The picture of her father she kept in her pocket. She thought about Earth, the planet she barely remembered. Would anyone there know what happened to her? Would anyone care? The wolf made a sound, not a growl. Something softer. Almost confused, Minji opened her eyes. The creature was so close now that she could see her reflection in its red eyes. It was not attacking. It was waiting. For what, she did not know. Her mother used to sing to her when she was scared. An old Korean lullaby about the moon and stars. Dr. Yuna would hold Minji close and sing softly until the fear went away. Minji did not know why she thought of this now. Maybe because she was more scared than she had ever been. Maybe because she missed her mother so much it hurt worse than anything. Without thinking, Minji started to sing. Her voice was small and shaky, barely a whisper. The words came out in Korean the same way her mother had sung them. Dalbinia, Dalbinia, how brightly you shine. Watching over us through the dark nighttime, the wolf's ears moved forward, its red eyes widened slightly. The growling in its chest stopped completely. Minji kept singing. The song was simple and short, meant for small children. But it was all she had right now, the only weapon she possessed against a monster. Just a gentle song her mother had given her. The arena had gone silent. Even the aliens had stopped cheering. Minji could not hear anything except her own voice and the sound of the wolf breathing. When the song ended, something impossible happened. The White Death sat down. Its massive body settled onto the arena floor with a heavy thump. It was still watching her, but something in those red eyes had changed. They looked less angry now, more confused, almost sad. Minji took a small step forward. Then another. Her legs felt like they might give out any second, but she kept moving. She thought about the injured place on the wolf's side. Her mother was a doctor, a scientist who studied living things. Dr. Yuna had taught Minji how to recognize when an animal was hurt or sick. That wound on the wolf's side was infected. It must have been causing pain for days, maybe weeks. "You're hurt," Minji whispered. She spoke in Korean because it was easier than English right now. "Does it hurt a lot?" The wolf did not understand her words, but it seemed to understand her tone. When Minji reached out her hand slowly, the creature did not move. It just watched her with those strange red eyes. Minji's hand touched the wolf's fur. It was softer than she expected. Warm. She could feel the creature's heart beating beneath the skin. Fast at first, then slower. Calmer. She moved her hand toward the infected wound, touching the area around it gently. The wolf made a sound, a whine like a puppy in pain. This massive killing machine that had destroyed warriors from 17 different species was whining like a hurt animal. Because that was exactly what it was. Not a monster. Just an animal that someone had hurt and made mean. An animal that had been alone and in pain for so long it had forgotten what kindness felt like. "I'm sorry," Minji said softly. "I'm sorry they hurt you. I'm sorry you've been alone." She did not know if the creature could understand her emotions or if it was just responding to her gentle touch. But something was happening. The tension in the wolf's body was fading. Its breathing was becoming slower and steadier. Minji was tired. So tired. The fear and shock of everything that had happened was catching up to her. Her legs finally gave out and she sat down hard on the arena floor. She leaned against the wolf's side, careful to avoid the wounded area. The creature's warm fur was soft against her cheek. The White Death could have killed her right then. One bite would have been enough. But it did not move. Instead, it turned its massive head and gently rested it on the ground near Minji. For the first time in its captive life, someone had shown it kindness. Someone had touched it without causing pain, and it had no idea what to do except stay very still and let this small, strange creature rest against its side. Above them, the arena was still silent. Commander Velnor stood frozen on the platform, his mouth open in shock. The other aliens were equally stunned. This was not possible. The White Death was undefeated, unstoppable. It killed everything put in front of it. That was what it did. That was what it was bred and trained to do. But now it was lying peacefully with a human child sleeping against its side. "This is a trick," Velnor finally shouted. His voice broke the silence like shattering glass. "The human is using some kind of mind control. Guards, get in there and separate them." The gate opened and 5 guards entered the arena. They were heavily armored and carried electric weapons that crackled with blue energy. They spread out, approaching the wolf and child from different angles. The moment they got close, everything changed. The White Death's eyes snapped open. It lifted its head and the sound that came from its throat was like nothing Minji had heard before. Pure rage, pure threat. The creature stood up slowly, carefully, making sure not to disturb the child against its side. It positioned itself between Minji and the approaching guards. "Subdue it," Velnor commanded. "Use the shock weapons." The first guard raised his weapon and fired. Blue electricity shot toward the wolf. The creature dodged faster than something that large should have been able to move. It leaped forward and crashed into the guard with the force of a vehicle. The guard's armor crumpled like paper. He did not get up. The other guards attacked together. The arena erupted into chaos. The wolf moved like liquid violence, all 6 legs working together in perfect coordination. Claws that could cut through metal tore through armor. Crystal teeth that could crush bone found their targets. The guards had weapons and training and armor, but the White Death had something more powerful. It had a reason to fight beyond simple survival. It was protecting something. It was protecting Minji. In less than a minute, all 5 guards lay motionless on the arena floor. The White Death stood over them, blood on its white fur, breathing hard. Then it turned back to where Minji stood. The child had woken up during the fight and was watching with wide, scared eyes. The wolf walked back to her slowly. It lowered its head and gently pushed against her shoulder with its nose, not hard, just a soft touch that seemed to say one thing clearly. Mine. You are mine now, and I am yours. Minji reached up and put her arms around the creature's massive neck. She buried her face in its fur and held on tight. The wolf made a sound deep in its chest. Not a growl this time. Something warmer, almost like the purr of a very large cat. Above them, Commander Velnor's face twisted with rage and confusion. This was impossible, but it had happened. And now everything was about to change. The arena had become a storm of noise and confusion. Aliens were shouting in dozens of different languages. Some were trying to leave their seats while others pushed forward to see better. Guards were running in all directions, unsure what to do. No one had planned for this. The White Death was supposed to kill the human child in seconds. That was what always happened. That was what the creature did. But now 5 guards lay broken on the arena floor, and the deadliest predator in the galaxy was standing protectively over an 8-year-old human girl. Commander Velnor's voice cut through the chaos. Seal the arena.
Lock down all exits.
I want that creature and the human contained now. Heavy metal doors began sliding shut around the arena. The aliens in the seats were trapped inside with everyone else. Some of them were panicking. Several of the insect-like creatures were trying to climb over each other to escape. A few of the glowing ones were flickering rapidly, which might have meant fear in their species. Hanbin saw his chance. The guards holding him were distracted, their attention split between the arena below and the chaos around them. He twisted hard and broke one arm free. Before they could react, he grabbed a weapon from one guard's belt and smashed it across another guard's face. The guard dropped. Hanbin was not a fighter by nature. He was a student who liked computers and old movies. But his little sister was down in that arena, and nothing in the universe was going to stop him from reaching her. He jumped over the railing and landed on the lower-level seating area. His ankle twisted painfully, but he kept moving. Other humans saw what he was doing. Some of them started fighting their guards too. Not all of them succeeded, but enough did that the Draconus soldiers were suddenly overwhelmed. Meanwhile, deep in the maintenance sections of the ship, 2 figures moved quickly through dark corridors. Taeyang was tall and lean with short black hair and a scar across his left cheek. He wore the stolen uniform of a Draconus engineer. Next to him, Hyerin worked on a portable computer device, her fingers flying across the holographic keyboard. The human prisoners are in Section 7, Hyerin said quietly. She was smaller than Taeyang, with long dark hair tied back in a practical braid. But there's something weird happening. The security feeds show some kind of riot in the arena. Good, Taeyang replied. Chaos helps us. How long until the extraction team reaches the docking bay? 6 minutes. But we have a problem. Hyerin stopped walking and showed him the screen. Look at this feed from the arena. That's a Vorash wolf, and that's a human child. Taeyang stared at the image. He had been a soldier before the Draconis Empire invaded his colony world. He had seen many terrible things, but watching a little girl face down a creature like that made his blood run cold. We have to help her. That's suicide, Hyerin said. But she was already reprogramming her computer. The arena is maximum security. We'll never get in there. Then we don't go in. We let them come out. Taeyang smiled grimly. Can you override the arena's emergency systems? Hyerin understood immediately. You're insane, but yes. Give me 2 minutes. Back in the arena, Minji was trying to understand what was happening. The wolf was still standing over her, watching everything with those intense red eyes. She could feel the tension in its body, ready to attack again if anything came too close. Then she heard a voice she knew. Minji? She looked up and saw Hanbin climbing down from the seating area. He was limping and his face was bloody, but he was alive. Relief flooded through her so strongly that her legs almost gave out again. Appa! She shouted, using the Korean word for older brother. Hanbin reached the arena floor and started running toward her. The wolf's head snapped in his direction and it made a warning sound. Minji quickly put her hand on the creature's neck. No, it's okay, she said quickly. That's my brother. He's family. He won't hurt me. The wolf seemed to understand something in her tone or her body language. It stopped growling but kept watching Hanbin carefully as he approached. Hanbin stopped a few steps away, staring at the massive creature. Minji very slowly walked toward me. "She stays with me," Minji said. She was surprised by how firm her own voice sounded. "She? Minji, that thing tried to kill you." "No, she was hurt and alone and scared, just like us. She protected me from the guards. She's coming with us." Hanbin looked like he wanted to argue, but there was no time. More guards were gathering at the arena entrances. Commander Velnor was shouting orders. They had maybe seconds before everything got much worse. Then every alarm in the ship started screaming at once. Red lights flashed. A computerized voice spoke in multiple languages, including English. Emergency evacuation protocol activated. Hull breach detected in sections 3 through 9. All personnel report to escape pods immediately. It was a lie, of course. The hull was fine, but the alien crew did not know that. Panic spread faster than fire. The sealed doors started opening automatically as the emergency system overrode the security lockdown. Aliens rushed for the exits, pushing and shoving each other in their desperation to escape a hull breach that did not exist. Hieron's voice came through hidden speakers, quiet enough that only those close to the arena floor could hear. "Human prisoners head to Docking Bay 5. We have ships waiting. Move now." Hanbin grabbed Minji's hand. "Come on!" Minji looked at the wolf. "Please come with us. I don't want to leave you here." The White Death looked at her for a long moment. Then it lowered its body slightly. Minji understood. She climbed onto the creature's back, holding tight to its fur. The wolf stood up with her on its back like she weighed nothing. Hanbin's eyes went wide, but he did not argue anymore. They ran for the nearest exit. Other human prisoners were already streaming out, following the directions from Hieron's voice. The Draconis guards tried to stop them, but between the fake emergency and the sudden rebellion, they were completely overwhelmed. The wolf moved fast, faster than Hanbin could run, even though he was sprinting. Minji held on tight, feeling the powerful muscles moving beneath the white fur. They ran through corridors that twisted and turned. The wolf seemed to know where to go, following Hanbin's lead with surprising intelligence. They burst into Docking Bay 5 to find Taeyang and Hieron working on a sleek shuttle. Several other human prisoners were already climbing aboard. Taeyang looked up and froze when he saw the massive white wolf racing toward him with a child on its back. "What in the name of—" "No time," Hanbin shouted. "Are we leaving or not?" Taeyang made a quick decision. "Everyone on board now." They piled into the shuttle. The wolf barely fit through the door, but it squeezed inside and lay down with Minji still on its back. The door sealed and Hieron jumped into the pilot's seat. Her fingers flew across the controls. 60 seconds until they realize the emergency is fake, she said. "Hold on." The shuttle's engines roared to life. Through the window, Minji could see Draconis soldiers running toward the docking bay. One of them was Commander Velnor, his face twisted with rage. He pointed at the shuttle and shouted orders. The docking bay doors started to close. "We're not going to make it," someone said. "Yes, we are," Hieron said calmly. She pushed the throttle forward and the shuttle shot toward the closing doors like a bullet. The gap was getting smaller. Too small. The wolf made a sound, almost like encouragement. Minji buried her face in its fur. They shot through the gap with centimeters to spare. The shuttle shook as its wings scraped against the closing doors, but they were through. They were out. Behind them, the massive Draconis ship was getting smaller as Hieron pushed the engines to maximum. Hanbin sat down hard, breathing heavily. He looked at his little sister sitting on the back of a creature that should have killed her. Nothing made sense anymore, but they were alive. Against all odds, they were alive. Taeyang knelt next to the wolf and examined its infected wound. "This needs treatment." "Hieron, do we have medical supplies?" "Some. Enough to stabilize it." She glanced back from the pilot's seat. "What are we going to do with a Vorash wolf?" Minji spoke quietly. "Her name is Hyan, it means white. And she's my friend." The wolf laid its head down and closed its eyes, finally able to rest. For the first time since its capture, it was not in a cage, not in an arena. It was free. And it was not alone, but freedom came with a price. Commander Velnor was broadcasting footage of the incident across the entire Galactic Coalition. A human child controlling the deadliest predator in known space. The galaxy was about to learn something new about humanity, and they were going to be terrified. The hidden human outpost was called Haven. It floated in an asteroid field far from any major trade routes disguised as mining debris. Inside, 70 rescued humans lived in secret, building their strength and planning their next moves. Now that number had grown by 43, including one 8-year-old girl and a massive white wolf. Minji sat in the medical bay watching Dr. Jiwon work on Haiyan's infected wound. The doctor was young, maybe 30 years old, with tired eyes that had seen too much suffering. She worked carefully, cleaning the wound with gentle hands. Haiyan lay still and let her work, occasionally making soft sounds when something hurt. Remarkable, Dr. Jiwon said quietly. Absolutely remarkable. This creature should be sedated for this procedure. The pain must be significant. But it's not moving. It's letting me help it. She trusts me, Minji said simply. And I trust you. So she trusts you too. Dr. Jiwon looked at the small girl with new understanding. You really did form a bond with it, with her. I've been studying the footage from the arena. What you did should have been impossible. I just sang to her, like my mom used to sing to me when I was scared. The doctor finished bandaging the wound and sat back. Minji, would you mind if I ran some tests? Nothing that would hurt. I just want to understand what happened between you and Haiyan. Minji nodded. She had already been poked and scanned several times since arriving at Haven. Everyone wanted to understand how she survived the arena. How she bonded with a creature bred specifically to kill. Over the next few days, Dr. Jiwon worked with Minji and Haiyan. She brought in other rescued animals that the Draconese Empire had been keeping as weapons or slaves. A small reptile creature that bit everyone who came near it. A flying thing with too many wings and sharp claws. Even a blob-like organism that no one could identify. Minji approached each one slowly, speaking softly. Sometimes in English, sometimes in Korean. The words did not matter. What mattered was the tone, the gentleness, the lack of fear or aggression. Within days, creatures that had attacked their rescuers were eating from Minji's hands and letting her touch them. It's not just her, Dr. Jiwon explained to Admiral Kyung-soo in a meeting room deep inside Haven. The admiral was an older man with gray hair and a face lined with worry. He commanded what was left of the human resistance forces. Then what is it? Kyung-soo asked. Dr. Jiwon pulled up holographic displays showing brain scans and chemical analyses. Humans emit a unique combination of pheromones when we show genuine empathy or compassion. We also produce specific sound frequencies when we speak gently, especially to children or animals. Most species in the galaxy evolved through pure competition, survival of the strongest, but humans evolved differently. She changed the display to show ancient Earth history, images of wolves becoming dogs, wildcats choosing to live with humans, horses allowing themselves to be ridden. We domesticated animals, she continued, but it was more than that. We formed partnerships, mutual bonds. A human and a dog working together are more effective than either one alone. A human and a horse can travel farther than either species could separately. We evolved to form these connections. Our survival depended on cooperation, not just with other humans, but with other species entirely. And the aliens see this as a threat, Kyung-soo said. More than a threat, a nightmare. Dr. Jiwon pulled up a document marked with coalition symbols. This came from Counselor Rax. He's an insectoid alien who secretly supports our cause. According to him, the Coalition Security Council met 3 days ago. They watched the footage of Minji and the Vorash wolf. They are terrified. Of a child and a pet, Hanbin spoke from the corner of the room. He had refused to leave the outpost while Minji was there. That's insane. Think about it from their perspective, Dr. Jiwon said. The Draconis Empire has been using war beasts for centuries. Creatures bred and trained to kill. No one has ever been able to turn those creatures against their masters. But Minji did exactly that. Not through force or technology. Through empathy. Through kindness. She changed the display again, showing fleet movements. The Coalition has dozens of species that use animal labor. Creature cavalry. Living weapons. Working beasts. If humans can form bonds with those creatures, if we can turn them into allies instead of slaves, we could destabilize their entire military structure. So, they want to kill us all, Kyung-soo said flatly, to prevent a threat that might not even exist. The threat exists, Taeyang said. He had been standing quietly by the door. I've seen it. Minji is not unique. She's just better at it because she's young and innocent. But I've watched other humans connect with the rescued creatures. It's slower for us adults. We have more fear, more caution, But it still happens, Dr. G1 nodded. Exactly. Every human has this ability to some degree. We've spent 10,000 years learning to read animal behavior, to communicate across species barriers, to form partnerships with creatures that could easily kill us. It's in our nature. It's what makes us human. The room went quiet. Everyone was processing the implications. Humanity's greatest strength was also what made them a target for extermination. There's more bad news, Dr. G1 said softly. Commander Velnor is gathering a fleet. He's convinced the Draconis Empire that humans are parasitic creatures who will subvert and control all other species. He's calling for a full-scale assault on Earth and all human colonies. The vote happens in 6 days. We need to prove we're not a threat, Hanbin said. Show them we're not trying to take over. How? Kyungsoo asked. By not using our abilities? By becoming less than what we are? No. Everyone turned to look at the doorway. Minji stood there with Hyan beside her. The wolf's wound was healing well, and its white fur had been cleaned and brushed. It looked almost peaceful, almost friendly, but the scars and the red eyes reminded everyone of what it was capable of. We show them what we really are, Minji continued. Her voice was small but clear. We're not conquerors. We're not parasites. We're the ones who make friends. Even with scary things. Even with things that hurt us. That's what makes us human, Dr. G1 smiled sadly, out of the mouths of children. But Minji, how do we show them that? They won't listen to speeches or promises. Then we show them something they can't ignore. Minji walked to the holographic display and looked at the fleet movements. All those creatures they keep as slaves. As weapons. They're not happy. They're scared and hurt like Hyan was. If we could talk to them, if we could show them there's another way. That's brilliant, Hiren said suddenly. She had been working on a computer in the corner. And completely insane. But brilliant. Explain, Kyungsoo ordered. Hiren pulled up communication frequencies. Every Draconis ship uses the same system to control their war beasts. Neural suppressors, fear conditioning, pain stimulation. But those systems also include speakers for commands. If we could hack into those speakers, broadcast something across the entire fleet. A message, Taeyang said, understanding. From humans. To the creatures. Showing them what kindness looks like. We'd need to get close to their fleet, Kyungsoo said. Close enough to hack their systems. That's a suicide mission. Not if we go in broadcasting, Hiren countered. If we transmit openly, showing ourselves, showing what humans can do. They won't destroy us immediately. They'll be too curious, too confused. And if it doesn't work? Hanbin asked. Then we die, Taeyang said simply. But at least we die trying to save our species instead of hiding in an asteroid field. Minji walked over to Hyan and put her hand on the wolf's head. The massive creature leaned into her touch, making that soft purring sound. We're not alone anymore. None of us are. That's what I want to show them. That being together is better than being alone and scared. Admiral Kyungsoo looked around the room. At the young woman who could hack alien systems. At the former soldier ready to fight. At the brother who would die for his sister. At the doctor who understood what made humans unique. And at the small girl with a white wolf who had somehow given them all hope. All right, he said finally. We have 6 days to plan the impossible. Let's show the galaxy what humanity really means. The Draconis war fleet gathered like a storm in space. 200 ships carrying enough firepower to burn entire planets. Commander Velnor stood on the bridge of his flagship, watching the displays showing Earth's location. The small blue planet looked so peaceful from here. So fragile. Soon it would be ash and memory. All ships report ready, his tactical officer announced. The Coalition Council has authorized the extermination of the human species. We await your command, sir. Velnor smiled, showing his sharp teeth. The humiliation of the arena still burned in his mind. A child had made a fool of him. A weak, soft human child had turned his greatest weapon into a pet. But he would have his revenge. Earth would burn and every human colony with it. The galaxy would see what happened to species that threatened the natural order. Begin the approach, he commanded. Full weapons, sir. Another officer called out. We're detecting a single ship emerging from behind the moon. Small craft. No military designation, Velnor frowned. Destroy it. Sir, they're broadcasting, on all frequencies. Including the animal control channels. What? Velnor moved to the communication station. Show me. The main screen lit up with a video feed. It showed the inside of a small human ship, and standing in the center was the child from the arena, the one who had survived the White Death. Next to her stood the massive white wolf, calm and peaceful. Behind them were other humans and several other creatures that Velnor recognized. Species that were supposed to be weapons, slaves. They were all together in that small ship like some kind of insane family. The child began to speak. Her voice came through in multiple languages, translated by Coalition Standard Technology. My name is Minji. I'm 8 years old. I'm from Earth. 6 days ago, I was supposed to die in an arena. This is Hyan. She was supposed to kill me. But she didn't. Do you want to know why? The broadcast continued. Minji told her story simply, using words a child would use. She talked about being scared. About the wolf being hurt and alone. About singing a lullaby her mother taught her. About how Hyan protected her from the guards. I didn't control her, Minji said. I didn't use magic or mind tricks. I just showed her kindness. I was gentle. And she understood. Because all creatures understand kindness even if they've forgotten what it feels like. The broadcast switched to footage. Video from Haven showing Minji with other creatures. The vicious reptile that now ate from her hand. The flying creature that landed on her shoulder. The blob organism that changed colors happily when she spoke to it. Each one had been a weapon. Each one had been trained to kill. And each one had chosen connection over violence when given the chance. You keep them in cages, Minji continued. You hurt them. You make them mean. But that's not what they really are. Just like humans aren't what you think we are. We're not parasites. We're not trying to control anyone. We just believe that making friends is better than making enemies. That working together is stronger than fighting alone. On the bridge of the flagship, Velnor's face was red with rage. Cut the transmission. Jam their signal. We're trying, sir. But they're broadcasting on every channel simultaneously. The animal control systems are receiving it too. The creatures in our holding pens are reacting to something in the transmission. Throughout the Draconis fleet, war beasts in their cages were becoming agitated. Not aggressive, something else. They were listening to sounds they had never heard before. Gentle sounds, kind sounds. The frequencies that humans produced when showing empathy were cutting through years of pain conditioning and fear training. Minji's broadcast continued. She showed more footage. Humans interacting with creatures. Playing with them, healing their wounds, sharing food, simple acts of kindness that should have meant nothing. But to creatures that had known only violence and captivity, these images were revolutionary. We're not asking you to choose sides, Minji said, looking directly into the camera. We're just asking you to remember. Before the cages, before the pain, when you were young and free, you didn't want to hurt anyone. You just wanted to live, to be safe, to be loved. Her voice dropped to almost a whisper. Intimate. Personal. Like she was speaking to each creature individually. It's not too late. You can still choose. Choose to be free. Choose to be kind. Choose to be loved instead of feared. She reached out and put her hand on Hyan's head. The massive wolf leaned into her touch, those red eyes soft and trusting. The contrast was stark. The deadliest predator in known space, utterly gentle with a small child. This is who we are, Minji finished. Humans make friends, even with the scary things, even with things that could hurt us. Because we believe everyone deserves a chance to be good. Everyone deserves kindness. Even us. The broadcast ended. For a moment, there was silence across the fleet. Then the screaming started. In the holding pens of every Draconis ship, war beasts that had been docile for years suddenly went wild, but not with rage. With something more dangerous, awareness, understanding. They had been slaves, and now they knew it. They had been hurt and broken, and now they remembered what it felt like to be whole. The creatures turned on their captors. Claws and teeth that were supposed to attack enemies attacked the guards instead. Cages that held dozens of species burst open as the creatures worked together, something they had never done before. Chaos erupted throughout the fleet. All ships reporting containment breaches. The tactical officer shouted. The war beasts are attacking our crews. Velnor grabbed the communication system. All personnel activate emergency suppression systems. Kill the creatures if necessary. But it was too late. Years of resentment and pain had found focus. The creatures were not mindless animals. They were intelligent beings who had been tortured into submission. And now they were free. The suppression systems failed as creatures destroyed control panels. Ships that relied on biological labor suddenly found themselves paralyzed as their living components rebelled. 3 ships lost life support. 5 more had critical systems go offline. The war fleet that was supposed to destroy Earth was tearing itself apart from the inside. On the human ship, Minji watched the chaos through the displays. She looked sad rather than happy. I didn't want them to hurt anyone. I just wanted them to be free. Sometimes freedom requires fighting, Taeyang said gently. You gave them a choice. What they do with it is up to them. A new communication came through, this one from the Coalition Council itself. Councillor Rax's insectoid face appeared on the screen. Behind him, other council members argued and shouted. Human vessel, Rax said formally. The Galactic Coalition Security Council has witnessed your broadcast.
We are
reconsidering our position on humanity. Reconsidering? Admiral Kyung-soo stepped into view. You were going to exterminate us. Yes, Rax admitted. Because we feared your ability to subvert other species. But what we have seen today changes things. The war beasts in the Draconis fleet were not forced to rebel. They were given a choice, and they chose freedom. That is not control. That is liberation. Another council member pushed forward. This one looked almost human, but with blue skin and 3 eyes. Some of us still view humanity as a threat. But others argue that any species capable of forming such bonds could be valuable allies. The vote is split. We don't want to threaten anyone, Minji said, stepping forward. We just want to live. To explore. To make friends with new people and new creatures. Is that so scary? The blue-skinned counselor studied her. Child, do you understand what you have done? You have fundamentally destabilized the military structure of dozens of species. War beasts that we relied on for defense are now questioning their purpose. This will cause chaos for years. Good, Minji said simply. If those creatures were slaves, then they should be free. That's what my mother taught me. Everyone deserves to be free. The council chamber erupted in argument again. Rax held up his clawed hands for silence. The council will deliberate. But the immediate threat to Earth is suspended. Commander Velnor's fleet is too damaged to continue the assault. The transmission ended. Aboard the human ship, everyone let out collective breaths they had been holding. Did we just win? Hanbin asked, not quite believing it. We bought time, Kyung-soo said. But this isn't over. The galaxy has to decide what humanity means to them, whether we're partners or threats. A final communication came through. This one was audio only, no video. A familiar hissing voice that made Minji's blood run cold. Clever child, Commander Velnor said. You have destroyed my fleet, humiliated my empire, but I am not finished. I am coming for you personally, not with ships or armies, just me. I will make you watch as I kill your pet wolf, and then I will kill you slowly. The transmission cut off. Alarms blared. A small craft had separated from the crippled flagship and was racing toward the human ship. He's insane, Hyerin said. He'll never make it through our defenses. But Velnor was not trying to. His ship crashed through the docking bay door, tearing through the shields through pure force and desperation. The impact shook the entire vessel. Emergency systems activated. Hull breach warning screamed. Velnor climbed out of his wrecked ship, armor scorched and broken, but he was alive. And he was coming for Minji, Taeyang, and Kyung-soo moved to intercept him, weapons drawn. But Velnor was a trained warrior who had survived 100 battles. He moved through them like water, leaving both,